I have seen a lot of videos on how to achieve infinite sharpness. They usually have some inane title like never sharpen again, infinite power, best blah 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 build, and so on. Truth is, most of these videos just cater to the meta type of play, and if I'm allowed to be a little toxic for just a second, by people who can't really utilize them anyway. Alright, let's down that antidote and get that toxicity out of here again. I said it before and I'll repeat it here, I'm not a speedrunner either, I just like doing TA runs and thus my sets don't really hit the meta. Let's stop wasting time though. Here's my comfy version of a true infinite purple sharpness set. If you do make it to the end of the video and this information helped at all, please do leave a like and subscribe. Don't worry, it's totally free. I also stream on Twitch and occasionally bitch about stuff on Twitter. You might as well follow me on those two if you have accounts there. Again, all completely free of charge, and who doesn't like free shit, right? When I say comfy, I really mean that. This is not really a set that will net you the best times if that's what you're looking for. The goal of this set is to never have to sharpen, to never bounce off a monster with the most minuscule amount of purple sharpness without worrying about hit zones or if the monster is tenderized or not. Now some terms and conditions do apply here of course, but they are far friendlier to the average user than what you would see in most other sets. So why do I call this a true infinite sharpness set? Well, weakness exploit is not a part of this set. Any hit zone, regardless of how bad it is, will net you a critical, 100% of the time. That in turn means that Clutch Claw is now completely optional. Which doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it, tenderized parts will take significantly more damage after all. That means so that you'll be able to play as sloppily as you can imagine without really having to aim for anything. Well, you should at least try to hit the monster and stay alive though. Now onwards to the aforementioned terms and conditions. I say you will never bounce again, but there are some things that will make you bounce, like a fully powered up Rajang's arms for example. Also, this is of course an endgame set, which includes 3 Safi'Jiiva pieces and 2 pieces from a Master Rank Teostra, as well as a Safi'Jiiva Switch Axe. Then there's the fact that the set actually only goes up to 90% of affinity with your weapon drawn, where the last 10% will have to be activated during combat. Now I can already hear you screaming in the background about clickbait and first Rajang's arms and now this? Well, hold up. The last 10% don't require any convoluted problem solving skills either, I promise. Honestly, you could even activate the last 10% at base camp if you really wanted to. We will get to that though, for now let's just go through the setup first. Once again, this is an endgame set. To get it up and running you will need materials from Safi'Jiiva, Teostra and the Zinogre Skymerald. You will also need large Elder Dragon bones, large Elder Dragon gems and pure Dragon blood. The last 3 drop from any Elder Dragon really. If you do not have them, just hope that you get enough of them while farming Safi and Teo. You will also need Guiding Land materials for the Infinity Increase 1 augmentation, which means you will need parts from a normal Guiding Land's Glavenus, or if you've already fought him and now only have access to his tempered form but don't feel like de-leveling, just collect his tempered parts and trade them in at the Elder Melder for the standard ones. Then there are the heavy Dragonbane bones, which you should be swimming in as every monster and their moms drop these in the Guiding Lands. And lastly, Serene Crystals, for those you just need to keep mining in the Wildspire region of the Guiding Lands until you have enough of them. And that's pretty much it. For the weapon I've chosen Safi's Shatter Axe, as Blast is great in Master Rank in my opinion, and you're given Blast Attack level 2 for free with the set anyway. You can choose whichever Safi Axe you want really, it doesn't make much of a difference, but the Shatter Axe at the very least doesn't let the Blast Attack level 2 inclusion go to waste. I personally went with an Affinity Increase 1, Health Regen 1 and Element Status Effect up 1. Might as well, as again, you already have Blast anyway, so why not push it as far as you can without sacrificing any other raw damaging options. The only mandatory augmentation would be Affinity Increase 1, the rest is interchangeable. So if you want to go with 3 Affinity Augments to save on expert rules or an attack augment and so on, be my guest. When it comes to being comfy however, it really doesn't get any comfier than having health regen. On my Shatter Axe I've added Teostra Technique, this one is mandatory. 2 Attack Increase 5 because damage, Sharpness Increase 6 because that's the quickest way to reach purple in my opinion, and Affinity Increase 5 because, well, it's Infinity Increase 5. You can play around with this of course, and if you don't even care about purple sharpness, you could even add an attack or Affinity Increase 6 instead. Both Teostra Technique and at least 1 Affinity Increase 5 are essential though, otherwise the set might fall apart. Yeah, I'm calling it that. I mean, it literally has my name engraved into it. This of course is nothing more than narcissism and is completely irrelevant. Now then, for the armor pieces themselves, which you've been grinding all those materials for, well didn't if you already had everything you needed. The armor pieces we're using are Safi Crested Crown Beta Plus, Kaiser Mail Beta Plus, Safi Crested Vambraces Beta Plus, Kaiser Coil Beta Plus, Safi Crested Boots Beta Plus, and a Challenger Charm 4. This will activate the following skills: Agitator level 4, Blast Attack level 2, Critical Boost level 2, Blight Resistance level 1, Latent Power level 1, Evade Window level 1, Master's Touch, and lastly Dragonbane Awakening. Not a bad base to start with, but we're still quite a long way to get enough affinity to make this work. Luckily, the set comes with a rather generous amount of slots. The question is, what decorations are we going to put in? As we all know, decoration farming is the true endgame ever since the base game of Monster Hunter World. It's not great, but it is what it is. Frankly, 4G wasn't any better. Relic farming via level 140 Apex monsters for weapons, armors and charms is really just the same shit in a different color. Double cross again, same shit in yet another color. Point is, bar an attack jewel 1 and an expert jewel plus 4, which are given to you via story progression, your available decoration collection will most likely be very different to the one I have. You could have a box full of god decos to make me jealous, have a mediocre selection, like myself, or have close to nothing at all. Basically, don't get upset if the sets, the budget set included, has decorations in it that you don't have access to yet. It's really the name of the game. Keep grinding Tempered Elders and you might just get what you need. Or not, because RNGesus isn't a loving deity. As for my personal loadout, I've put a critical evasion jewel 4 into the weapon itself. On the headpiece I have jammed in an expert jewel plus 4 and 2 expert jewel 1. On the chest we have another expert jewel plus 4, an expert jewel 1 and an attack jewel 1. The gloves have a handicraft evasion jewel 4 and 2 enhancer jewel 2. My coil slots have a satiated handicraft jewel 4, a challenger jewel 2 and an attack jewel 1. Lastly, the boots, here we have a resistor attack jewel 4, an enhancer jewel 2 and an attack jewel 1. Fucking hell, those things are really hard to say in a sentence. This gives us the following skills: Critical Eye level 7, Agitator level 5, Attack Boost level 4, Critical Boost level 3, Power Prolonger level 3, Evade Window level 3, Blight Resistance level 2, Blast Attack level 2, Handicraft level 2, Latent Power level 1, Free Meal level 1, Master's Touch and Dragonbane Awakening. Now as you can see, there are a few throwaway skills here, like Free Meal or those extra levels in both Evade Window and Blight Resistance that I technically don't need. It all goes back to the available decorations. In a perfect world, my set would look like this. The chances of me getting my hands on a Handicraft Jewel plus 4 and 2 Attack Jewel plus 4 are somewhat slim though. Both of these seem to drop like Attack Jewel 1 used to drop in base game, which is to say, just about never. That set is the goal I'm aiming for though. Until then, my current deco loadout does the job just fine. I do understand though that there are some pieces in my current set already that a lot of you won't have access to either, like that second Expert Jewel plus 4 for example. So let's look at the budget version. Well, I didn't say it was going to be pretty, but it should be easily accessible this way. If anything, the attack jump 4 might be the hardest thing to come by, and even that one doesn't require any ultra rare materials apart from maybe the large Elder Dragon gem for the final upgrade. And let's be honest though, they are not really that rare, and B, you can just get it from the Elder Melder. I've also slotted in max health boost and stun resistance, which can be changed out for whatever you have lying around in your box. Just be aware that due to the lack of Agitator level 5, you might have some periods where you won't quite reach 100% affinity. Speaking of which, so how does this set actually work in practice? The way this works all hinges on an interplay between 3 to 4 skills. Master's Touch, Dragonbane Awakening, Agitator, and yes, you guessed it, the one level of latent power that comes built in. Dragonbane Awakening chips away at your health with every swing, which will automatically activate latent power. Plus, if you've gone with a health augment, the chip damage is essentially irrelevant to your health bar. The damage threshold for latent power still gets full credit though, even if you keep healing it away instantly. Dragonbane Awakening also gives you 20% affinity just for having your weapon drawn. This now pushes us to 90% affinity. The last 10% can be gained in 2 ways. A. Just keep swinging your weapon until latent power activates, no monster required, hence the option to do it at base camp if you wish. Just be sure not to kill yourself before it activates and heal if necessary. Or B. Go with the good old fashioned clutch claw into 3 head swipes to enrage the monster and activate the 10% via Agitator level 5. With the combination of those 2 options to get to 100%, you should never have to sharpen, even though we only have 10 units of purple sharpness. Considering how quickly you can activate latent power with Dragonbane Awakening, you should always be able to get back to 100% in just a few swings. Yet, even if there are a few short periods where you don't have either Agitator or latent power active, you still have 90% of affinity on the entirety of the monster's body, not just its weak points. So it's still a rather low chance of not getting a crit. Here is an entire hunt, sped up of course, of me running face first with no regards for my own safety into a Stygian Zenogre, and I'm still taking full advantage of the skills I slotted in. If you're playing with mantles, as I am in the footage right now, you can push the damage even further, be it through mantle slots, or just straight up zero discharge spam with Rocksteady, 30% damage boost with evasion mantle, knockouts with impact mantle, or whatever else floats your boat. So in summary, is this the best set out there? No, it's not by a long shot. But is it the comfiest melee set that I've ever played? Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. In fact, the only thing I can think of that's comfier than this is a Loyal Thunder or Safi Burst Cannon spread tank setup, which is not a melee setup of course. But as a player who has used Switch Axes almost exclusively since all the way back in the Monster Hunter Portable 3rd days, this is definitely the way to go for me. And that's it, that's my set. I hope you can find some use for it, or at the very least alter it so that it fits your playstyle. Alright, back to shilling my stuff, even though there's nothing to sell really. Like and subscribe, hit the bell thingy, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and hit the comments to let me know what you think, what you would do differently, what your preferred Switch Axe Lazy Hunter sets are, and whatever else that comes to mind that would be relevant. I don't know, I really suck at closing out my videos. Thanks for watching, and as always, a heartfelt thank you to those of you who watched the video from the very beginning all the way to the end. My name's Sasa, and I'll see you next time.